You're still guessing about what to do with your money in 2026. This video is for you. So we're in the I think this is the second week of 2026, and I'm going by a timeless book, The Richest Man in Babylon. I've heard about it quite a bit. And so in listening to this book, there were 3 things that I'm taking away, and I'm using those 3 things to guide me in 2026. And so today I'm going to share those with you, and hopefully it can help you as well, because I've already been seeing changes in my spreadsheet for my financial plans for the year. And so the hope is that it will help you as well. So the first thing is, I live by this for my tithing. So the Bible talks about, us tithing 10% of whatever we earn, right? And so in The Richest Man in Babylon, one of the biggest thing that the author stresses, or the advice that is given in the book, is save 10% of anything you earn. Now, at first it was kind of daunting. I was like, 10%, that's a lot. But luckily, when I did the math, I was actually doing that. So, well, not every month. And my savings, so one of the things that I've done to make sure that we save monthly, I've put my saving expense. It's an expense. It's like in the spreadsheet, like it's an expense. But one of the things that I used to do was I would adjust how much we save dependent on how much we earn. Not necessarily by percentage, and also not by only what we earn, but by what we earn and what we can afford to save. Let's say it that way. And so my savings used to be like at the bottom of the spreadsheet. And so I would evaluate, okay, what all of our expenses were, what we need to do, and then I'll go to savings and investing, of course, and all of that. And so reading The Richest Man in Babylon, I moved my savings and I put it right under my tithes, right? So my first line in my spreadsheet is my tithes, and then the second one is my savings. So my tithes, 10%, my savings, another 10%. And so the beauty of this is whenever I give any workshops or any courses or anything like that, I always emphasize that you want to live off 80% or less of your salary. And so when you think about it, if you're saving 10% in tithes, and then, well, not saving, but, if you're donating or giving 10% in tithes, and then you're saving another 10%, then in fact, you are living off 80% of your salary. So I was like, I'll be practicing exactly what I preach. This is not to say you can only save 10%, but at least 10%. And if you can afford to save more, by all means, do that. And so when we talk about saving, you don't only want to save, right? The book also, this isn't one of my 3 things, but it also says, basically don't be too ambitious in how much you want to save. Live a little, enjoy a little, which I think is a valid point. If I'm honest, a lot of times I'm so focused on preparing for the future, preparing for my kids, that sometimes I don't buy or spend a lot. Sounds crazy. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. But sometimes, I get wrapped up in my mind. I'm like, okay, you can afford to buy it, buy it. Okay. So, the book talks about living a little. The first thing is, yes, saving 10%. And it's not as hard as you think. At first, I was like, this is quite daunting. I don't even know where I would find 10%. This is my thought before I even looked at the numbers. And then I started moving things around. You realize you don't have to spend that much on groceries, or you don't have to spend that much on miscellaneous, or you can cut back on spending here. So you'd be very surprised if you determine that you are going to save at least 10% of your money, what you can do. At least try it. Just try it. Don't knock it before you try it. So that's the first thing. The second thing was, of course, we've talked about this. This is one of the reasons why this channel was created, is invest. You must invest some of your money. And so that, I think, encompasses that 10%. And so for me, my 10% will be investing and saving. And so I'll be saving some of that. Now, I won't tell you how to divide how much you really put away in your savings account versus in your investment accounts. But I do suggest that you have a auto transfer for your investments, and so that you're contributing to your investment account monthly. That's the only way that you're going to constantly see growth as well. Well, that's not the only way, but one of the ways that you'll constantly see growth in your investment account. So you want to feed that every month. And so a part of that 10% will be going to investments. So of course, I talk about investments a lot. There are many ways to invest. You can invest using the stock market. You can do bonds. You can do real estate. You can do a business. You can do life insurance policies. There are many different ways that you can invest. And you can also invest in like startups and stuff like that. But by all means, do make sure that whatever way you decide to invest, you want to make sure that you are knowledgeable about the investment choice that you're making. And that leads me to the third thing. And this is it was a funny thought when it was discussed in the book. But when you think about it, a lot of people are guilty of this. The third thing is you don't want to take advice from someone who has no idea what they're talking about. Let me expound on this. So in the book, the book is really a summary of the book. There's a richest man in Babylon, and someone was like, I want to be rich like him, right? And so he went to ask him a few things like, how did you get so wealthy and stuff like that. And so he told the person, save 10%, and the person did. And he decided to give his money to, I think it was either a shoesmith or a locksmith. So one of those, go listen to the book. And so he gave his money to invest. He gave it to a shoesmith, and the shoesmith took off with the money. Okay. And so when he went back to the richest man in Babylon, he was like, why would you give your money to a shoesmith to invest? He's a shoesmith. And so it's funny now, but people do this. I've heard of different stories where people give their money to people and they do investment frauds and stuff like that. And that's one of the things why I will never take your money and say, I'm going to invest it for you. I will give you the knowledge so that you can do your own research and do your own investments and make your own portfolio, right? But at the end of the day, you want to take advice from people who are knowledgeable about the things that you're going to be investing in. So for instance, if you want to invest in the stock market, look at the reputation of people who are saying, okay, this is what you should do, this is what you should buy, and be very leery when people tell you particular stocks to buy. Okay. If anything I've learned, if you listen to me for a while now, I talk about this book a lot, The Psychology of Money. No one can predict the future. No one. We can make strong suggestions of what we think will happen. Nobody can predict the future. Only God knows what's going to happen next. So I cannot sit here and tell you, the tech industry is going to be booming forever. You never know. I mean, it's a good industry, but you never know, right? Right now, oil is really a good conversation right now to look into in terms of stocks. But I will not tell you go buy Chevron or go buy Shell. I will not tell you what to buy, but I will tell you can do your research to see where the trajectory of the oil industry will be going. What is our president doing? These different type of things, because I also tell you when you are looking at what stocks to buy, you do want to look at what's happening in the atmosphere, and quite a bit is happening right now where oil is concerned in the atmosphere. So it's something that you want to look into, right? But, when I read the book and I heard the thought, I was like, oh, I mean, that's obvious, but it's not obvious. Okay. So as a quick recap, the 3 rules that I'm going by here in 2026 from The Richest Man in Babylon. This is a great read as well. It's an older book, and it's been around for years, over 100 years, but this book, it's really valuable. So the first thing that I'm taking into 2026, I am saving at least 10% of my earnings. It doesn't matter how much I earn, I'm saving at least 10%. The second thing, I am investing, right? Which, yeah, I've been doing that, but I'm going to invest monthly, right? I'm sending my money over to my investment accounts monthly. And the third thing is, I will not be listening to people who are not vets, okay? You have to be a vet for me to listen to you or to enter into any venture with you. And so I hope you do the same, and I wish you many prosperity, good wealth, and all that good stuff in 2026. But do stick around. I'll be talking a lot about how to build your wealth on this channel. And if you do find this video helpful and insightful, like, share, and subscribe. And it's really a pleasure to serve you all. Thank you for sticking with me through 2025. And let's make 2026 a great year. And until next time, see you.